Down in Portland, a lot of dense fog. Let's get right to Portland's Rod Hill with all of the details.
From a foggy and because of that really chilly Rose City on a Wednesday, I'm meteorologist Rod Hill. We're going to start up on the mountain and where it's just sunny blue. Look at this, the contrast of the blue and the white, absolutely gorgeous. We had crews up there yesterday talking about how mild it's been. Of course, that leads itself to, soft, sticky snow for skiers and boarders. And we lost 3 inches of snow and snow melt yesterday. We'll lose at least that much again today. And by the way, in the AM hours, this is correct. 51 degrees. Timberline, I don't believe ever dipped below 50 last night. They'll be hanging out in the 50s today. You do that 24/7, oh yeah, you're going to start melting some snow, especially when it's sunny. So the base will soon be base probably does get below 40 inches today, and we'll continue to melt some of that snowpack that fell last week all the way into the mid part of the week. So that is not what the doctor ordered, as the saying goes. And by the way, let me step back in. That 51 degrees at Timberline, it's been as low as upper 20s in the Willamette Valley. It's been a 20-degree temperature inversion. Crazy. Now, the overall weather pattern, clouds and weather systems holding out. We still have a dry forecast until next Wednesday is our first chance of any moisture. Futurecast this afternoon still holds parts of the valley in the fog and low clouds, which will keep our temperatures in the 40s. This is tomorrow morning. It does not show fog in Portland because east winds will start to develop and eventually clear out all of the valley. And the winds, which have been just flat and calm for the last handful of days, will come to life tomorrow. This shows afternoon gusts in Troutdale, which is at the mouth of the Columbia River Gorge, up to about 30 miles per hour. And as I play this or advance it into Friday, we've got wind gusts along the Columbia River back up to about 40 miles per hour. Again, that produces a sunny pattern all the way off of the coast, and that will allow us to be warm. Here's our newest live sky camera, and we have seen surfers the last couple of mornings. There's some more right there out in the water. It's a cloudy morning. We do believe sun is coming. That's beautiful Seaside, Oregon, showing off the surfers there in the cove. This is AM hours. Clearly the sun is up. This is the roadway in Salem, right in front of the Oregon Capitol, and you cannot see the Capitol. So even in the light of day this morning, it has continued to be really foggy. This is people crossing the Columbia River from Vancouver into Oregon. And again, you cannot see the Interstate Bridge, which is right in here somewhere. Gives you an idea of the fog we've been dealing with, the view from the springs at the waterfront. And one more, this is the first time all morning that I've been able to even see the base of the downtown buildings looking across the Willamette River. Wow. Foggy, foggy, foggy. All right, later today, beautiful sunshine, central and eastern areas of our state. This shows Bend could hit 60 over in central Oregon. Wow, beautiful weather. Clearly, the snow on the ground at Sun River is gone. Temperatures in the 50s along the coast with sun coming. You can see the forecast holding 40-degree temperatures. In fact, low 40s perhaps in Albany, Salem, and Eugene, where Futurecast is correct. The low cloud deck from this morning's fog will never get out of here. Portland may need some late day clearing just to get up to 48. If we don't get it, we would be more like 43, 44 for a high today as well. East winds kick off the Sunshine Parade starting tomorrow.
Current snow conditions up here on Mount Hood are leaving people with mixed feelings. On one hand, it's sunny and warm, but on the other hand, snowboarders and skiers tell me that it's harder to work with the slushier snow compared to the powder that many prefer.
Well, I'd love to see it get another 3 feet of snow. It's what it really needs.
This is nice. I prefer cold every time though.
Mild temperatures and sunny skies on Mount Hood inspired some like Doug Perry to take a break from the skiing to lounge in the Timberline parking lot Tuesday afternoon.
Sunny, it's warm. As soon as I can check in, I'll be sitting on the deck and in the swimming pool.
While the weather was mild, the difficulty level for skiers and snowboarders was more moderate.
You got to work harder when it's slushy because puts a drag on your skis.
It's not as bad as it is when it's like icy out, but in my opinion, the slush kind of makes it harder because it's all like it's tamped down basically. and then you have like less margin for error.
The warm temperatures can also lead to other problems too, according to Portland Mountain Rescue, who just assisted in rescuing 2 people over the weekend.
We really caution people to just be really careful about activities like glissading and snowshoeing. Typically not recommended this time of year, even on a sunny day, just because of the slipperiness. Even skiing can be really tricky, just because it's going to be hard to stop if you slip.
With a holiday weekend coming up, ski resorts like Mount Hood Meadows don't expect too much of a negative impact.
Skiing is fun for everybody. You just work on a different skill. Instead of powder skiing or drop it off in the trees, work on your edge control, just enjoy the beauty, take in the sun. It's still incredible just to be outside for us.
Some ski resorts like Mount Hood Meadows had to close a couple of weeks ago due to rain and thin snowpack, but PAC says outside of that scenario or high winds, they will be remaining open. On Mount Hood, Celine Stevens, KGW News.
That temperature inversion that Rod was talking about is also impacting much of the Northwest, and it's leading to some very poor air quality for our friends in Boise. Here's Hector Mendoza with much more.
Fog has shrouded portions of the Treasure Valley. That's what we saw this morning. And this is a view early on as we saw some very dense fog through Ontario. Some of that made its way through Caldwell and through Nampa, so some of the lower Treasure Valley areas, but not quite making its way through the Boise area. This is a look at our Skycam 7 camera as we take a look at some hazier conditions. That has really started to settle into this inversion that's really going to stick around here and through the next couple of days. But we're not out of the woods yet with that fog here as it's going to return through tonight. We are expecting to see here through Thursday morning a chance for some very dense fog, this time making its way through the Treasure Valley, including Meridian and Boise. So the impacts are going to be areas of thick fog with visibility as low as 1/4 mile or less. So a lot of those commuters really making sure you keep that in mind and through the next couple of mornings as we will continue to see some patchy fog. So of course, making sure to use those low beams, reduce the speed, allow yourself some extra travel time, and of course staying cautious around some of those school zones and those bus stops as we have a lot of those kiddos there. They're going to be waiting for some of those buses to come through. But this is the reason why we are going to continue with some of the stagnant conditions. And this is what we're going to talk about at least in through the weekend, as we are going to see a lot more of those conditions pretty much staying similar all the way through Tuesday. So as we look at our 7-day forecast, we are going to notice a little bit more of those chances of patchy fog here through Sunday. And of course, those conditions climbing up just a little bit back into the mid 40s as we head towards Tuesday. But the 2 big important days are going to be, again, we mentioned this morning and then again in through tomorrow morning. So that's what we're going to keep an eye on, as those are going to be some of those impact days, especially through the morning, as that fog will start to dissipate here as we get towards the afternoon. But as we look at the 7-day forecast here for the Twin Falls area, not expecting that fog to make its way through the Magic Valley. Temperatures and conditions will be very similar, as not much of that changes. We're paying attention to the middle of next week, as there is a chance, as we're looking at some of the longer range models, that we could see some precipitation make its way through. But for now, a lot of those places, including the mountains, will stay dry. Temperatures will continue very cool in some of those areas into the teens, and some spots are going to start to see a little bit more of those warmer temperatures here and through the next couple of days. But here's a look at just that high pressure system and exactly what it's impacting and how we're seeing that just kind of shield us from a lot more of that active weather that we will continue to see. As this is a look at our upper level pattern, here's that high pressure system. It will continue to move its way further in through our area, move up through the British Columbia, and then of course, as we look at the Tuesday and Wednesday, I did mention a chance for some precipitation. Again, there's still a lot of uncertainty as we're looking on ahead into the middle of next week, but that is our next best chance to see any sort of rain make its way through the Treasure and Magic Valleys. Mountains are anticipating seeing some of those colder temperatures, and we're definitely going to start to see some changes coming along. But again, at least for now, it's just going to be that fog that we're going to be focusing on, as we'll see that become a little bit more dense here through tonight and through Friday and through Thursday morning, that is. And of course, these are going to be the things we pay attention to, especially as we head towards Thursday morning, as a lot of those commuters are really going to need to have those low beams on and driving very slow. But again, patchy fog will continue to be something we keep an eye on through the weekend here as we head towards the Saturday and Sunday.
A new study shows carbon emissions have recently reversed course. According to a report from Rhodium Group, an independent research firm, after years of decline, they rose 2.4% in 2025. Analysts say some of the factors causing the increase include a cool winter causing furnaces to work harder, the explosive growth of data centers and cryptocurrency mining, and higher natural gas prices. And coming up, we'll have more checks on your forecast. We're headed to Washington next. Welcome back to Weather Out West. Similar to Idaho and Oregon, fog will cover much of Washington in the coming days. Let's start over on the east side of the state, where Spokane's Thomas Patrick is tracking back-to-back foggy mornings, prompting weather impact alert days.
I'm meteorologist Thomas Patrick in Spokane, Washington. It has been a foggy morning for most in Washington and Idaho. And this is one of the latest looks that we've had in downtown Spokane. The clock tower and the pavilion starting to fade away in the heavy fog that we've seen throughout the morning. This very well could last, if not till noon, after that as well. And that's going to have a big impact on our temperatures as well, because the deeper this fog lasts today, the colder it will end up being. And vice versa as well, because it's not perfectly cloudy, not completely cloudy and foggy across the entire region. So this has been the single and really only focus in the forecast for eastern Washington, because it is the only kind of impact that we'll see. We'll start with our weather satellites. Just before dawn, using the infrared imagery, we get a little bit of an assist with how the information is plotted. The blue that you're seeing on the screen is just low cloud cover and fog coverage in the region. And what you're noticing here with this almost like spider web looking plot of blue is that these are all the valleys. From North Idaho, this would be from Bonners Ferry to Sandpoint. Here's our metro of Spokane and Coeur d'Alene, and every single valley in between our mountain ranges through northern Washington. That is where the fog has settled, especially when you get a strong temperature inversion. That cold air that sinks down to those valley floors helps to trap a lot of that fog. So these are the locations that are absolutely getting fog this morning. Here are some of the camera images from about 8 and 9 a.m. This is Airway Heights. And you'll have to take my word for it because it is completely invisible at that stage. So very, very, very low visibility through this morning just due to the strong temperature inversion, a little bit of some lingering moisture. Now, we didn't get dense fog advisories. Instead, the National Weather Service in Spokane opted for what's called a special weather statement. Sometimes that's just below advisory criteria. The only difference here is that it was a little bit more patchy as opposed to widespread, but I do think personally that this was dense fog advisory worthy. But in the case here, we do have special weather statements, but effectively for the same thing, very low visibility, quarter mile or less in many of those cases. So our weather impact alert days kind of matching that as well, not just today, but tomorrow as well. I do think that it is worthy to give everybody a 24 hours heads up that we're going to get more fog for Thursday morning. Now, whether that's dense fog advisories or special weather statements, the effect and the impact will be the same. A lot of some slow morning commute conditions as a result of the heavy fog. I want you to notice, though, that it's not everywhere across eastern Washington. The fog in the morning should lift by the afternoon, getting us into the low 40s temperature-wise in Spokane. However, for the Palouse, which is Pullman, different story. No fog at all, sunshine all day long, and like yesterday, temperatures actually hold at around 50 degrees, which is pretty incredible. Exact same story tomorrow, fog likely for Spokane, Coeur d'Alene, and northward, but not for the Palouse. So again, Pullman could end up pretty close to 50 degrees in this stretch, but Spokane's a completely different story where that fog undercuts our temperatures, 40s today and even 30s tomorrow.
And in western Washington, fog is also in the forecast and rain chances not so much. Seattle's Rich Marriott tells us what to expect for the big NFC divisional round playoff game this weekend as the Hawks take on the 49ers.
Hi, I'm King 5 meteorologist Rich Merritt, and we've made it to Wednesday, halfway through the week. And boy, yesterday was really mild. We started the day mild, and we ended up either breaking or tying some records. We hit 58 degrees out at SeaTac Airport. It tied the record of 58 degrees set back in 2018. And in Olympia, they also hit 58 degrees, but that broke their record for the day to 57 degrees set back in 1994. We're starting off pretty mild again today, but we're not going to see those temperatures quite that warm, as a matter of fact. If we take a look out, we've got a lot of cloudiness out there again this morning, and this is going to be sticking around through the day today. We might see a few sun breaks, but overall, we have gray skies headed our way. And looking out from all of our tower cams this morning, we did see a little bit of patchy fog, but that is mostly lifted where it's formed. We still have the camera there on Queen Anne, which is up about 500 feet, kind of sitting in the base of one of the clouds there. So you've got kind of a fog view, but you can also see a sunbreak trying to show up there. So that's good news. Checking out of the airport, a definite solid gray for them in Tacoma. They've been trying to see some sunshine sneak through for a couple of hours, so they may have a few of those around for this afternoon. We're not going to see the temperatures budge much today. We're mostly in the down into the mid to upper 40s for our lows today. We should normally be down in the 30s, so about 10 degrees above normal, and we're only going to warm up today maybe 2 or 3 degrees for most of these areas, so not a whole lot of temperature variation during the day. Take a look at the next 7 days. We stay dry all the way into next week, and temperatures stay around 50 degrees through most of that. The main thing that's going to change here in the next couple of days as we head towards the end of the work week and the weekend is we're going to see increasing amounts of sunshine. In fact, by the weekend, just a little bit of morning cloudiness or fog. Otherwise, we're looking at plenty of sunshine headed our way. And you can see on the satellite image, if you look, you can see this kind of arc of clouds up into northern British Columbia, northern Alberta, and down. That's that big area high pressure that's sitting over us. That's going to stay in place probably until the middle part of next week. There are signs that around later Wednesday, Thursday, it may start to break down, or we might see some precipitation move in. But until then, we are going to be in a dry pattern, a very long one for this time of the year, but well timed in a way because we have that big NFL playoff game here at Lumen Field for the Seahawks this weekend. It's going to be beautiful for tailgating for January. We're going to be looking for sunshine and temperatures in the low 50s during tailgating, and then around 5 o'clock for the kickoff, we're going to see temperatures start to cool because of the clear skies, probably back down into the mid 40s. And as we head towards the end of the game, probably 8:30 or so, we're going to be seeing those temperatures drop down close to that 40-degree mark. But I somehow have a feeling that anybody in Lumen Field is not going to notice any of the temperature changes during the game. Looking out to the passes, you can see, despite all the clouds, we do have some sunshine up there at Snoqualmie Pass and at Stevens Pass, and a beautiful day underway up there at Paradise and Mount Rainier. Definitely warm air aloft. You can see there at Paradise with that sunshine. They actually hit 58 degrees at the 5,400-foot level, so definitely have that warm air up there with those high snow levels. And checking those snow levels over the next 7 days, we stay pretty constantly. It's going to move up and down a little bit, maybe about 1,000 feet, but basically staying high until we head towards the mid to late next week. We'll finally start to see those come down just a little bit. Take a look at the 7 days, though. If you're heading up today, again, a little bit of fog. Once you go up a little elevation in the ski areas, you're going to be skiing in sunshine with spring skiing conditions. And in fact, if you're headed out this weekend, it's looking pretty good. There's enough of a base of the areas they'll be able to continue to operate, and we're going to be looking for spring skiing conditions in terms of the snowpack and tons of sunshine as we head towards Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So definitely well timed there. Here in the lowlands, we're going to be looking for the cloudy skies around the area. We'll see that today just a few sun breaks. We'll start to see more sunshine with the clouds burning off more quickly tomorrow, and then pretty much just patchy clouds or fog in the mornings for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Highs staying around 50 degrees. As we head into the holiday on Monday for MLK Day, we're looking for some patchy morning fog, a little bit more than what we've been seeing, still mostly sunny, and we'll start to see that increase as we head into Tuesday. And then as we head farther into next week, we may start to see some precipitation moving. You see those temperatures drop back to the mid 40s as we head towards the end of the following week.
If you're seeing more of your coworkers calling out sick, you're not alone. After the break, ways you can help stop the flu from spreading in your home. Flu cases are on the rise nationwide, and experts believe it will only get worse before the end of winter. Seattle's Leah Pizzetti shows us which weather conditions can help prevent the flu from spreading.
Let's start with temperature. The flu loves colder weather. It's surrounded in a fatty outer lipid. In warmer temperatures, the virus's outer coating becomes less stable. In colder air, that outer layer stays firm, helping the virus survive longer outside the body. But an even bigger factor is humidity. The flu likes dry weather. The lower the humidity, the better for the flu. Dry air lets virus particles stay airborne longer and dries out nasal passages, which weakens your body's first line of defense. Dry air causes respiratory droplets to evaporate into tiny aerosols that can go deeper into the respiratory tract. In humid weather, larger flu particles fall to the ground faster and are easier for our immune system to spot and attack. Combine all of this with the fact that people are spending more time indoors when it's cold. This gives the virus a better chance to jump from person to person. So what can you do? Research shows that keeping your indoor environment a tad more humid in the winter may help. The sweet spot is what scientists call the Goldilocks zone, where indoor humidity levels are between 40 and 60%. In fact, studies have found that the transmission and effectiveness of the flu virus dropped at a daycare where the indoor humidity was higher.
And coming up after the break, we're headed to the Golden State with forecasts from Monica Woods and Vanessa Paz. Before we get to your forecast, we wanted to share this with you. Pay attention to these names because Baby Center has a new list on what is falling out of favor. It says this year, names inspired by places are out, like Dallas in Malaysia. Boy names ending in Y aren't in vogue anymore, like Huxley and Corey. Unique unispellings for traditional names are also out. The biggest drop for girls was the name Charlie with a E-I-G-H. For boys, it was Killian or Kylian. On the other end of the spectrum, topping the list of the most popular names for boys are Noah, Liam, and Oliver, and for girls, Olivia, Amelia, and Sophie. All right, welcome back to Weather Out West once again. We wanted to pick things right back up and taking you to Southern California, where temperatures will continue to trend about 5 to 15 degrees above normal. That's all thanks to those offshore winds and that strong ridge of high pressure we've been telling you about. Let's get to Vanessa Paz from San Diego with more.
Happy Wednesday from San Diego, California. I'm CBS 8 meteorologist Vanessa Paz. All right, taking a look at weather headlines as we kick off the second half of the work week. We've had plenty of sunshine to go around. We have been spoiled with vitamin D across the region for several days, and we will continue with that streak as we wrap up the second half of the week heading into the weekend. As we take a look at the weather headlines, we'll continue to have periods of Santa Ana wind. So this, as well as a ridge of high pressure, also known as a dome of really warm air, is going to continue to usher in unusually warmer temperatures for this time of year throughout San Diego County. We will have minor day-to-day changes Thursday all the way through Saturday, with a gradual slip in temperatures Sunday into midweek. I want to emphasize gradual because the spread in terms of the day-to-day changes will be very minor, but again, we'll take what we can get as far as the cool down goes, and we'll also have perhaps an increase of clouds as well. As we take a look at high temperatures for your Wednesday, here's what's on tap along the 15 corridor. Those neighborhoods for spanning from Fallbrook all the way down to Miramar will likely see mostly low 80s, a little warmer than yesterday. We had a lot more high 70s in the mix yesterday afternoon. So today and tomorrow will be some of the warmest days of the week, and the temperatures will gradually drop about a degree or two by the time we get to the weekend. We'll be in the mid to high 70s along our coastal communities from Oceanside all the way to downtown San Diego. Chula Vista will be hitting a high of 77 later on today. Meanwhile, for the mountain areas, if you're looking for 60s, just head up in elevation. For spots like Palomar Mountain, Julian will be topping out in the high 60s. We'll be in the upper 70s for areas like Alpine, those neighborhoods along the 8 freeway, mid 70s out in Campo, and we'll be touching in the low 80s for areas like Borrego Springs. So notice how the jet stream well to our north. That's what separates the cooler air from the warmer air, and we really don't get relief even through Thursday all the way in to the weekend. We continue to see that ridging just kind of dominate the West Coast. That's what's going to continue to usher in those warm temperatures. Our wind gust forecast continues to have those northeasterly winds. Notice how they drop down to the single and double, or teens, I should say, by the time we get to Friday. So those winds will continue to weaken, especially as we wrap up the work week, with those areas that are prone to high winds continuing to see anywhere between 25 to perhaps 30 mile per hour gusts along the foothill and mountain areas. So we'll continue with this stretch of warm weather, especially into tomorrow. We'll be anywhere between 10 to nearly 15 degrees warmer than average. We should typically be sitting in the 60s for this time of year, but notice how we'll have plenty of upper 70s for the coastal areas, lots of 80s to go around for the inland valleys, and we'll be pushing into the 60s, but that's only for the mountain areas, high 70s forecasted for Borrego Springs tomorrow afternoon. We don't have a shot of rain anytime soon. We're bone dry all the way through the middle of next week. As we take a look at our 7-day forecast, minimal daily changes along the coastal areas for the next 7 days. Again, we have a slight drop on Friday, but again, not too much change. You may or may not notice the difference. We'll be in the 80s all the way through Saturday, and then we'll see 70s rebound on Sunday and a little bit of relief looking ahead to next Tuesday. That's when we shoot back into the mid 70s. So if you're waiting for that cool down like I am, it will happen. We just have to be patient. The mountains and desert areas staying warm in the 70s all the way through about Monday. 80s to go around for the desert areas all the way through the weekend.
And up in NorCal, high pressure continues to keep things pretty stagnant. More fog and inversion leading to poor air quality and light winds. Sacramento's Monica Woods tells us when conditions may improve.
I'm meteorologist Monica Woods, and looking at some changes in the forecast. Overall picture doesn't change much. Still looking at a dry stretch, mostly sunny skies, but for the valley, we're looking into some poor air quality as well as the persistent fog. You can see on the regional picture how there's just kind of that haziness laying over the valley floor. And that's due to a couple of things. First of all, it's fog that's lingering and a lot of the particulate matter. We're using our fireplaces because it's been so cold in the morning, and all of that particulate matter, the smoke, stays stuck in the valley. So our poor air quality in the winter doesn't really seem intuitive, but this is a problem that we've been seeing year after year and really developing as we start to see that inversion, which means the warmer air is above some of the colder air locked in the valley. Plus the light winds. We just have nothing to disperse this persistent weather pattern with the fog and the poor air quality building in the valley day after day. And so there's leading to burn restrictions throughout the valley. In fact, you could face fines if you're found to be burning on a day that's not allowed in the district. Our futurecast showing some small changes developing. We're mainly looking at persistent fog throughout the Central Valley, periods of dense fog advisories going into effect. But late Thursday, we actually see a bit of an offshore flow developing, and that will help to disperse a little bit of the fog and make that, it looks like that air quality improve a little bit by the end of the week. But again, no rain in our forecast. Highs in the 40s to near 50 up top for the Sierra. As we head down the hill, we're looking at highs in the 60s to near 70. For the Central Sierra, highs are going to be in the 60s. No snow to be found there, near 60 for inland areas. As we head into the Central Coast, highs are going to be in the 70s and 60s. That's going to be quite a bit warmer than inland areas in the 60s. So we're kind of blanketed in the valley by warm weather to the west and east of us. 60s across the Bay Area. Inland areas only in the low 50s, especially for the Delta region. Northwest coast, we're in the 50s to near 60, with inland areas topping out in the low 60s to right around 70 as we head into Redding. That's the power of that high pressure ridge sinking warming air. Highs in the 50s throughout the capital region after morning lows starting off in the upper 30s to right around the low 40s. Quite a crisp start to the day. Our extended forecast for our 5-day outlook, we continue to see that dry weather pattern. No rain in sight there. Highs in the upper 60s for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday in the foothills. A little bit cooler for the valley. Coast, we're looking at mid to upper 60s as well. In terms of our Sierra snowpack, I wanted to show you our Rob Carl mark and how things are looking up there despite some of the dry conditions that we have right now.
Hey everybody, Rob Carmack here at Operation Sierra Storm at Sierra Tahoe. And just a quick note here, if you have not heard of what's been going on here since the Caldor fire, you know, this resort lost about 80% of their trees within that fire in 2021. 5 years later, they planted 20,000 new trees underneath the snow. And the other thing that's been happening is that they've got huge plans in the future. They've been modifying the lifts so that they're easier to run in the wind, which is something new here because of the lack of trees. And this summer, they're planting 40,000 new trees. So give it some time, give it some space. Sierra Tahoe is coming back tree by tree, planting by planting. It's going to look very different in the decades ahead.
And coming up next, we'll have forecasts from Ginger Jeffries in Phoenix, and we'll check in with Kathy Sabin and Katie LaSalle in Denver. Now it's time to head to the desert Southwest, where Phoenix's Ginger Jeffries is tracking above normal temperatures. But the good news, temperatures won't shatter any records.
I'm meteorologist Ginger Jeffries with a look at your weather out west, where, hey, I want to share this view with you because, yep, this is what we are enjoying right now. My friends, we are in a bit of a holding pattern, which means we are going to have high pressure in charge, high pressure keeping the skies nice and clear. So Michelle, who was checking out Sedona, yep, just deep breaths, because this is going to be our view for multiple days as we are above the normal range, but we don't have big changes in store. In fact, for Phoenix, the next 7 days, our temperature differential, so from our expected high temps, really just 2 degrees. We're going from about 76 to 78 for the next 7 days. That is what I call a holding pattern. And as you can see, we've got clear skies from end to end. Now, I do expect to see winds once again today. I was really expecting them to lay down overnight, and they did, but they're going to resurge this afternoon and then taper off. So it's just kind of an afternoon situation. But again, it's keeping the skies clear and temperatures. Here we go on the warmer side, west side from Havasu, Parker into Yuma, looking for some low 80s today. So how far above the normal range are we? 10 to possibly up to 15 degrees. And yes, that is putting us within reach of records. But we'll understand it's not just one area or one region. It's across the state. We are seeing numbers that are at least about 10 degrees on average above the normal range. So the records, let's consult the data. As you can see, records for Phoenix about 81 to 83 degrees. So even though we're right in on the high side, so 77 to 78 for today through Saturday, it doesn't look like we're going to snap any records. But here we go. We do have that wind event once again. These are these offshore Santa Ana winds really impacting Southern California. Well, once again, they're kind of breaking out of their Southern California boundaries and impacting portions of the state. But I think as we get this offshore sweep, especially on the mountain slopes and those downsloping ranges, we are going to see a little bit of wind action. I'm talking about 15, 17, 18 miles an hour for the valley later this afternoon. But through the higher terrains, we should be seeing some 25 to 30 mile an hour winds. And again, that's all working to keep the skies nice and clear, to keep it bright and sunny across Arizona. Daytime highs today pushing up to about 77 degrees. Oh, too early for that. 77 degrees, which, as you can see, well above the normal range. And again, not quite up to record territory for us. We're starting off the day is really mild. I mean, look at this, 40s and 50s to start the day, but we climb rapidly. We've got mid to upper 60s by the noon hour and headed for a high of about 77 degrees. Then tonight, numbers are nice and low simply because it is clear and it is dry. So temps in the evening hours in the mid to upper 40s. But then again, we are back to the basics for the next 7 days in Flagstaff. After plenty of fresh snow, numbers are leveling off in the mid 50s. So for Flagstaff, stretching between about 52 to 57 degrees with overnights in the sub-freezing zone. Here in the Valley of the Sun, I mean, look at this, 7 days of 70s. And again, we're not going from 71 to 79. We're seeing numbers from about 76 to 78 degrees during the day and overnights in the upper 40s to low 50s.
And speaking of toasty temperatures, it turns out some baby kangaroos enjoy pool time to beat the heat. You see right there, look at how cute. This joey recently snuck into the water at an Australian theme park. Look at his little tail there. The Joey swam briefly before jumping out and leaving, and the staff made sure the pool was clean before human guests used it, of course. Trying to stay cool and stay hydrated. And with little to no moisture in the forecast, unfortunately, Colorado's snowpack continues to suffer. Additionally, there are fire weather concerns. Let's check in with Kathy Sabin and Katie LaSalle, and they'll tell us everything you need to know from Denver.
Hello from Denver, Colorado. I'm 9 News Weather Impact Team Chief Meteorologist Kathy Sabin. The sunrise and sunset pictures we have seen this week have been amazing, like a work of art. I mean, look at this. There are no filters on this. These shots that have been coming in with the cloud cover and the color have been persistent in the mornings and the evenings. The clouds, thankfully, are coming in underneath this dominant ridge. But the bad news is the clouds aren't bringing us any moisture, and we have one of the lowest snowpacks at this point in the season that we've ever seen. All of the cold and snow that we've been tracking is east of Colorado, moving over the top of the jet stream ridge and right into the Midwest and Northeast. And we've got a little front to the east of us that's kind of backing in, so we're getting a lot of clouds spilling over. Maybe an isolated rain shower on the plains today, maybe a snow shower in the northern mountains. Not enough that there will be accumulating snow or travel impacts, so there are no advisories for either. First batch of Arctic air misses us. Second one comes in for the weekend. We have a big football game here on Saturday afternoon, and that's Arctic air so very close to eastern Colorado. So we're waiting to see if some of that Arctic air is going to move west into Denver, making for a chilly Broncos game on Saturday at 2:30. Right now, it looks like kickoff temperature between 45 and 50 degrees with a dry day as all of the rain and snow remains east of us, Minneapolis, St. Louis, New York, and Washington. Snowpack levels, probably the worst we've seen at this point in the season ever. So yeah, we can play catch up in a big hurry, but that's not going to happen over the next 10 to 14 days. So we'll look for isolated showers on the plains, a few isolated snow showers in the northern and central mountains, and above average temperatures trending along the Front Range. Starting in the 30s today, warm to the 50s this afternoon, low 60s tomorrow, seasonal highs Friday and Saturday, back to 50s with sunshine for Sunday and the holiday on Monday.
I'm 9 News Weather Impact Team's Katie LaSalle. It has been an unseasonably warm start to winter. Since early December, we have seen the warmest start to the season in Denver on record, and we have more warmth on the way, relatively speaking, here across the state. We did see some areas of light drizzle across the plains this morning, but 57 the high. Denver's average for January 14th is 45 degrees. A lot of our high country towns bracing for dry weather and 40s this afternoon, even warmer tomorrow. Daytime highs back to the 60s downtown to the airport up into Fort Collins, Greeley, the Eastern Plains, and with the warm and then windy weather that we're expecting for Thursday, the National Weather Service has issued red flag warnings and fire weather watches in place throughout the day with low relative humidity, dry conditions, and very gusty winds. Now, drought conditions unfortunately continue to worsen. We have also seen the worst snowpack that Colorado has experienced thus far this season. We do have a little snow in the forecast as we get into the end of the week. Colder air finally making a return to portions, especially of the Eastern Plains, and then over much of our northern Front Range mountains. West of the Continental Divide, we won't be seeing a lot of that cold air and snow. Unfortunately, with our statewide snowpack at only 61.5% of median, this is the worst that we have seen to date on record. So lack of snow, not great for Colorado, especially for our ski areas. We could absolutely use more of it, but a little bit of optimism here on this Wednesday. Snowpack does not really peak until early April here across Colorado. We have seen similar years with very low snowpack to start. That was back in 1990, early 2000s, and 2013. We did finish with okay seasons, relatively speaking, not completely abysmal, and we do have the chance for it to flip, especially as March is typically Denver's snowiest month. So we are hoping for some of those big spring snowstorms. And really, as we get into the end of January, it's looking like the 22nd through the 24th, we have a better shot of some winter weather. But our 7-day forecast, we will cool down, more seasonal conditions Friday and Saturday for the Broncos playoff game against the Bills. We're looking at upper 40s, sunshine and gusty winds. Then we're right back to the 50s Sunday through early next week.
You've vowed to exercise more in 2026. That's a great goal to get healthy, but experts have a workout warning they hope you heed.
We see a very predictable spike of very preventable injuries in January every year.
Dr. Andrew Carbone with Orlando Health says after the holidays, motivation tends to spike while conditioning is at an all-time low. And he says social media often drives the rise in injuries.
There's one social media trend now with the kettlebell swing, 30-day, 100 kettlebell swings a day for 30 days. You know, that kind of stuff will cause overuse injuries.
That can include tendinitis, especially in the biceps and rotator cuff in the shoulder. Carbone says he also sees knee injuries this time of year, especially if a person suddenly takes up running.
You go from 0 to maybe running 3, 4, 5 miles. You're going to get a lot of patellar tendinitis, a lot of runner's knee.
To help avoid injuries, Carbone says to start slow, no more than 3 days a week, and incorporate rest into your regimen. He says that's when your body starts to build muscle. Don't follow social media trends. Instead, start with the basics like body weight exercises and core work. Consider getting a trainer to help keep your technique on track. And he says to remember, start with higher reps and lower weights.
Once you have the fundamentals like that, your core is strong, you know, lower back is strong, your shoulders are good, then you can start to kind of play with increasing weights.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
And taking you to space, the ISS has a new commander. NASA held a change of command ceremony on Monday on board the ISS. The change in command comes as NASA is bringing the 4-person crew, 11, back to Earth a month earlier than planned due to medical concerns for one of its members. This morning, NASA says those 4 astronauts on the ISS will start their journey home today as it ends the mission early for the first time because of a medical evacuation. So we're sending them lots of good thoughts. One of the astronauts aboard the ISS developed an undiagnosed medical issue, canceling a planned spacewalk. Medical privacy rules prevent NASA from releasing further details, but it describes the astronaut as stable. The crew should land back on Earth just tomorrow. And astronomers have a new theory about a mysterious unknown astronomical object known as Cloud 9. Scientists say it appears to be a starless cloud dominated by dark matter. Now, dark matter is believed to make up 85% of total matter in the universe and can be detected due to its gravitational effects. Cloud 9 was first discovered 3 years ago, and a new report says the object is a result of a failed galaxy. Scientists came to that conclusion after seeing Hubble telescope pictures revealing a lack of stars. Astronomers say this discovery could lead to a better understanding of dark matter and how galaxies are formed and the universe was formed. So, something to take with you today on this Wednesday. That's going to do it for us here on Weather Out West, at least for today. I'm Ashley Ruiz, and we want to thank you so much for being with us today and every day. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.